Hey everybody, I'd like to shoot a video about what I think about God. Well, first I gotta define God, of course, so I'll define God as a supernatural entity, perhaps entities, a supernatural entity that is conscious and is all-powerful, at least in the current physical world. And since I'm not tying God to any specific religious claim, God can be a he, she, it, or they, and all the following holds true. I'll stay he out of habit or convention. And furthermore, certain platitudes I've heard about God, such as God is love, or God is truth, or any other semantically questionable platitude, I'll dismiss those out of hand right now. I don't really have interest in them. So I consider there to be four possibilities, logical possibilities, about the nature of God. Please correct me if I'm wrong. One is that there is no God. Two is that there is a God, but God has no interest in human beings whatsoever, either here or hereafter. Three is there is a God. God has interest in human beings, but God does not require interaction or belief from human beings. And four is, there is a God who has interest in human beings, who requires or desires some sort of interaction or belief. Now, most religions would agree with claim 4, with logical possibility 4. So let me talk about that. Religions have very different ideas about how God is to be interacted with and believed. The monotheisms are quite different between themselves, and they in turn are quite different than the Eastern religions, which in turn are different than the tribal and the pagan. And it seems very odd that God would be instituting all these religions that are so completely different in how God is to be interacted with and believed in, if he's to be believed in at all. So that's somewhat odd. Another point about logical possibility 4 is that God is reticent to us humans individually. God, although he's all-powerful and apparently does not speak to us or appear before us, although some people claim that in their subjective mystical state, such as prayer or meditation or reading their holy text of choice, that they hear the voice of God, that we allow that. It doesn't stand up in court, but we say, okay, well, if you've reached a subjective enough state, you can start saying things like that. That's okay. But it's not clear to the population that if God tells you to do something, that you should do it. Let's put it like that. And another point about logical possibility 4 is, let me tell you, I have a friend named Mike. He lives down the block from you, and he wants you to believe that he exists. And he's heard a lot about you, thinks you're a great person from the description, and he just wants you to believe that he exists. Well, what's your reaction to this? Well, why doesn't he just come down the block and say hi? I mean, you know, is he antisocial or disfigured in some way, or agoraphobe, or what's his issue? And it's like, no, none of that. He's a great guy, normal guy, very social guy, not disfigured. Not that there's anything wrong with being disfigured. But he just kind of, you know, he just really appreciates it when people who are really cool have a belief that he exists without meeting him first. Well, if I told you this, you'd probably think that either Mike was crazy, or more than likely that I was crazy for suggesting that such a person exists. But this is exactly the claim I'm hearing about God, who apparently is all-powerful. And perhaps this indicates that this all-powerful being has low self-esteem, egotistical issues, which seem somewhat odd. And in fact, that and his reticence and his and the difference between religions really indicate to me that logical possibility 4 makes no sense. Now, logical possibilities 1 through 3, that God does not exist, that God does exist, but has no interest in humans, or God does exist, has interest in humans, but does not require or desire humans to believe or interact with him in any specific way. Well, the correct philosophical stance to take to this is atheism. And that's one of the reasons that I am an atheist. So let me say in closing, there is no God. Oh, wait a minute, you say, you're making an absolute claim. Well, when I say something like, there is no Santa Claus, the Colts will win the Super Bowl, the lottery ticket that you're holding won't win, I'm clearly making speculative claims. In fact, when a religious person says, God loves you, we know that they're making speculative claims. They don't know this for sure. They are speculating. And that it's equivalent to saying, I believe there is no Santa Claus. I believe the Colts will win the Super Bowl next year. I believe this lottery ticket that you have won't win. Sorry. So, that's the way it is. And that's all I got to say on the topic. Thanks for watching. Catch me in a later video. It's John J.